Someone said one careless thing about you 9 years ago. You can still hear it. The exact words, the exact tone, the small pause before they said it, the way the room felt afterward. Now try to remember a compliment from last Tuesday. Nothing. It's gone. 20 people could tell you that you did well, and one person could tell you that you didn't, and you would walk home carrying only the one. That is not a flaw in your character. It is not weakness, and it is not you being dramatic. It is a survival system doing exactly what it was built to do, running at full strength, in a world that no longer needs it. Your brain does not weigh good and bad equally. It never did. Psychologists have a plain name for this. They call it negativity bias. It means that anything unpleasant hits your mind harder, sinks deeper, and stays longer than anything pleasant of the same size. A loss feels bigger than a win. A criticism feels louder than praise. A bad day contaminates a good week, but a good day rarely rescues a bad one. In 2001, the psychologist Roy Baumeister and his colleagues published a review with a title that sounds almost too blunt to be science. They called it Bad is Stronger Than Good. They went looking for a domain where positive events outweighed negative ones of equal size. Relationships, learning, emotions, health, money, first impressions. They could not find one. Everywhere they looked, the bad things simply weighed more. And you can see it in the physical brain, not just in behavior. Researchers John Cacioppo and Gary Berntsen measured the electrical activity of the brain while people looked at images that were pleasant, neutral, or unpleasant. The negative images produced a larger response. Not a slower one, not a sadder one, a bigger one, within a fraction of a second, before the person could even name what they were feeling. Your brain flinches before you do. So why would evolution build a mind that is so easy to wound? Because the mind was not built to make you happy. It was built to keep a fragile primate alive long enough to reproduce. Picture yourself 50,000 years ago. You are not a person with a career. You are a body in a landscape, in a band of maybe 30 to 50 people, inside a wider network of 150 or so faces you will ever really know. The anthropologist Robin Dunbar gave that number its fame. Roughly 150 stable relationships, the natural ceiling of a human social world. In that world, a good day is a berry bush. A bad day is a snake, a rival band, or a group of people deciding they no longer want you around. Now count the cost of each mistake. If you ignore the berry bush, you are hungry. If you ignore the snake, you are dead. If you ignore the berry bush 100 times, you will still probably be alive at the end of it. You cannot ignore the snake once. That asymmetry is the whole story. Positive information is optional. Negative information is not. A mind that treated good news and bad news as equal weight would have been beautifully balanced and extremely short-lived, and it would not have become your ancestor. So the ones who survived, over and over, were the ones who flinched. Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky found the same asymmetry hiding inside something as bloodless as money. In their work on how people actually make decisions under risk, they showed that losses loom larger than gains. Losing $100 hurts noticeably more than gaining $100 pleases. Roughly twice as much, in most people. They called it loss aversion, and it is one of the most reliably replicated findings in the study of human choice. The same shape appearing across countries, across income levels, across cultures that share almost nothing else. The same tilt. In snakes, in status, in cash. Paul Rozin, who spent a career studying disgust and contamination, described the pattern in an image you will never quite lose. A single drop of sewage will spoil a barrel of wine. A single drop of wine does nothing at all to a barrel of sewage. That is your mind. Negative things spread. Positive things sit politely where you put them. And it starts working the moment you meet someone. Back in the 1940s, Solomon Asch showed that when you describe a person with a list of traits, a single negative word does not just add itself to the pile. It reorganizes the whole impression around itself. Warm, clever, hardworking, dishonest. You do not hear 3 good things and 1 bad thing. You hear a dishonest person who happens to be clever, which is somehow worse. 1 word rewrote the other 3. Here is the part that surprises people. The system is not broken. Everything about your memory of that 9-year-old insult is working perfectly. Your brain marked a piece of social information as high-priority survival data and stored it where it could not be lost. In a band of 40 people, on a landscape with no hospitals, no police, no supermarkets, and no way to survive alone, the opinion of the group was not vanity. It was infrastructure. If they turned on you, there was no other group. There was no other food, no other shelter, no one else to watch for predators while you slept. Exclusion was not embarrassing. It was fatal on a delay. So your ancestors evolved a system that treated a disapproving face as a threat signal, filed it deep, and replayed it at 3 in the morning, because reviewing the exact moment you lost social standing was once the most useful thing a mind could do. Robert Sapolsky spent decades watching baboons in Kenya and measuring the stress hormones in their blood. What he found was that in a social primate, position in the group shows up in the body, chronic social stress, chronic status anxiety, and a physiology that stays braced. Not a mood, a biological state, carved by where you stand among others. You inherited that body. You just moved it into a different world. Because now the group is not 40 people. You wake up and check a rectangle of glass, and inside it are thousands of faces you will never meet, offering opinions you never asked for, on a scale your ancestral system has no way of understanding. A stranger types one dismissive sentence, and your body responds the way it was built to respond to a member of your band withdrawing support. Cortisol, tight chest, a replay loop. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a tribe member turning away and a username you will never see again. Both are filed as, the group is rejecting you, and the arithmetic that used to save you now quietly ruins your weeks. In a small band, negative events were rare enough that flagging everyone made sense. Now the input is infinite, so the same filter that once caught one snake a month catches 40 small social threats a day and treats each one as data worth keeping. You are running exactly correct software on impossibly wrong inputs. Watch it happen in your own life. You give a presentation and 19 people nod and one person frowns, and you spend the drive home studying the frown. You read 50 kind messages and one cruel one, and it is the cruel one that follows you into the shower. The relationship researcher John Gottman found that stable, lasting couples were not the ones without conflict. They were the ones where positive moments outnumbered negative ones by roughly 5 to 1. Not 1 to 1. 5. That ratio is the receipt. It takes about 5 good things to balance one bad thing, because that is the exchange rate your ancestors were built with. So what do you do with a mind like this? You do not fix it. You cannot argue a survival system out of running, but you can stop reading its output as truth. When one comment outweighs 20, that is not evidence that the one comment is more accurate. It is evidence that it is more dangerous looking to a brain that is still scanning the tree line. The intensity of a feeling was never a measure of how correct it is. It is a measure of how urgent it once was. And it costs you nothing to say so, quietly, in the moment it happens. This is loud because it is old, not because it is true. Someone said one careless thing about you 9 years ago, and your brain kept it. Not because it mattered, but because 100,000 years ago, in a group of 40 people on an open landscape, the ones who forgot did not live long enough to become you.